Welcome to Comic Chop News. I'm Dan, and today we're continuing the series on The Evil Dead. Today we're going to be talking about Army of Darkness. I watched it last night so I could be fresh on it. First thing that comes to mind right now with Army of Darkness, it goes full bore into a comedy. Sam Raimi said during the filming it's an adventure, not a comedy. At a certain point after filming, they actually had to add Deadites in to actually make it a little bit more horror because there wasn't enough of it. Also, recommend watching, someone uploaded on YouTube, I'm not sure which release it comes with, Medieval Times, the making of Army of Darkness, which was pretty informative, lets you know how long the shoot was. They had just days and days of long nights where Bruce Campbell, some of the other actors talk about just how burnt out they were before it was done. This, for most people, will be the Evil Dead movie that most will talk about, especially for the casual fans, because all the one-liners Bruce has, the Three Stooges shtick with the, smacking, the wise guy, eye poking from the skeletons. This is also a love story to Ray Harryhausen, who people my age will remember from those old Jason and the Argonauts movies with the stop-motion skeletons. There was barely any blood in this movie, but for some reason the ratings board got revenge on them and was not going to rate this. I think it was like NC-17, and then they just sent back the new stuff without any cuts, and then they made it R. Very odd. They talk about this in the Medieval Times documentary. So it starts off right where Evil Dead 2 left off, with Ash falling through the rift. Doesn't have the same thing with the flying Deadite coming, but he and the Delta 88 still shows up. End up back in the Medieval Times. He's taken prisoner with Duke Henry the Red by Arthur. He gets thrown into a pit because they think he's one of Henry's men, where in there the pit witch, which is a Deadite, comes out. Some hijinks in the pit. Bruce gets out, and then the pit witch gets out, where he unleashes Boomstick. And then pit witch falls in the pit, where we get one of the humorous scenes where he calls them primitive screwheads and tells them to shop smart, shop smart. Bridget Fonda's in this movie playing S-Mart employee, which may or may not be Linda. Some cool stop-motion parts with the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. We also get in this the prevailing thesis statement of the series about Bruce being a screw-up, or Ash, I should say, where he's routinely told to say the words, which always ends up as Klaatu, Barada, Nickel. Definitely an N-word. So we get those kind of scenes. There is another scene where little ashes are running around. He swallows them, then pours hot water down his throat. Again, very slapstick. Definitely strayed further away from where episode 2 was. From there, Ash ends up running with a head growing out of his shoulder, where they do a homage to an old Two-Headed Man movie where they're running into a tree to try and split. Ash also, after he beats his evil self, does one of his other staples of the good, bad, I'm the one with the gun, shoots him in the face. Dismembers him, buries him. Again, Ash says the words wrong, and massive amounts of Deadites climb up and raise themselves up. There's a ridiculous battle where he modifies the Delta 88. He takes a gauntlet and modifies it into a robotic machine hand. It's silly. It's good fun and breakneck pace on this movie. Yeah, I mean, it felt like it was maybe only 50 minutes. I didn't look at the runtime, but man, it just moves so fast where you don't realize the amount of time going by. the Delta 88, as I was saying, he put a windmill top to it and used it to clear out Deadites. They end up winning, of course, because, evil's dumb. So from there, the wizard gives Ash, not even the wizard, the scholar, or I don't even know what they call him. But anyway, he gives Ash drops made from a spell in the Necronomicon, tells them to say the words. So we have a jump again, and Ash, it jumps forward where he's telling Ted Raimi the story, how he could have been king. And Ted Raimi just looks completely bored, like, okay, sure. And all of a sudden, stuff starts blowing in the store. He's back at S-Mart, of course. And a Deadite pops up. So he gets knocked over a counter, takes his S-Mart uniform off, and of course he's wearing his regular Ash outfit, grabs the shotgun, and then says, "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." And, "Who the hell are you?" "Ash, housewares." Gets on a cart, starts pump action shotgunning with way too many shots than that gun could hold. And he gets the woman. He says, "Hail the king, baby." Cut to credits. There is a alternate ending that they decided was just too morbid, where Ash loses count of how many drops of the potion he's putting into himself, and he overshoots where he was supposed to end up, the time-wise. So it ends up just jumping way past where it kind of Planet of the Apes. There's no apes, but the world's destroyed, and he starts screaming. Again, still goes with the line of Ash is a complete screw-up for someone who's the chosen one. They do later kind of bring this ending back, though, in Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3. I will probably maybe touch on that later in another review. But definitely this, I can't even treat it like a horror movie because it's so silly. But I love it. Again, this is where Ash fully becomes the Ash Williams, the quotables. I've watched this at one of the Dollar Draft houses when I was in high school. My sister took me. I have fond memories of just laughing hysterically during it. For a high school kid, this movie was fantastic. So definitely, as far as in the Evil Dead rankings, I would probably put this as my number 2. Evil Dead 2 would be my favorite, with this following real close behind. It depending on the day, it could change. But Bruce Campbell, after this, I think he did Briscoe County Jr. Raimi, we all know where he ended up doing later on with the Spider-Man series. But this one, despite it being such a long shoot, looked like it was the most fun for them to shoot. So from there, definitely, I'm gonna watch Evil Dead the remake next week. If you are a fan of Ash, though, definitely check out Ash vs. the Evil Dead, especially Season 1, which probably was my favorite of the series. But definitely, you gotta at least give it a watch. Netflix, I believe, has 2 of the 3 seasons on there. But definitely, I would give this an 8. If I were judging it as a comedy, I'd probably have it a little bit higher, but I think 8 out of 10 is solid. It's not everybody's favorite movie, and some would probably rate it lower because it's not really a horror movie. But there's a part of me that just absolutely adores and loves this. But I just wanted to thank you for sharing time with me and watching this. Comment, subscribe, share, whatever you need to do. If you want to talk about how you hate it, let me know. I'd love to discuss it. I'll just do it in a kind of not mean fashion. Don't call me an a-hole, whatever it is. Thank you, good night, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.